Hello, EKN Nation. How are you? My name is Rob Howden. That's David Cole. Another live edition of This Week in Karting here on the EKN YouTube channel. It is Friday, March the 19th. David, another week is done. They're racing a cup in Florida and in New Orleans this weekend. A lot of racing still going on, but this show is not so much about a debrief. It's not an outlap. We're talking about everything that's hit the homepage on eKarting News.
This week or / month in karting is exactly what this show is. Again, a busy month. I was gone at 2 different events. I think almost 3 that since our last show, and so it's been a chaotic month, but an interesting and fun month as well. So
yeah, a lot going on in the world of karting as well. As we know, a ton of racing has happened, and a lot of times in the This Week in Karting shows we do at the start of the season. And those of you who have tuned in before, you know. That a lot of the stuff's just about schedules. This race, that race, especially with COVID-19 postponements, a lot of stuff that we had last year. Now, David, we're finally going to start getting some racing going, right? It's not so much about schedules. This particular show will have more information like that. Sooner or later, we're going to talk more about news because the season's really getting ready to go.
Well, that's what it is. News items, and schedule is a big part of it. Yeah. You know, industry news, things that are happening within the industry. Things that are happening with series and different programs and different manufacturers. So, and even race teams as well too. So just any type of news items that kind of come across and hit our website or things that we see that are happening within the sport.
Indeed. So, folks, this edition, episode number 32, as I said, it's March the 19th. This particular edition of the show presented by A-Maxx Racing. A-Maxx Racing is an operation focused on driver development for karters of all ages, from top-level drivers to grassroots racers or families looking for a team that will help them achieve their goals. A-Maxx Racing can guide you with the absolute best trackside service at affordable prices. No matter the chassis, A-Maxx Racing welcomes you and has the experience to put you on top of the podium. A-Maxx Racing, all of your karting needs under one tent. Now, David, we kind of beat up on each other because we call it This Week in Karting. Yeah, the last one was February the 10th, so it was over a month ago. It could be This Month in Karting, but I just feel like our shtick of doing it once a month I'm still calling it This Week is the way to go.
Yeah, it's kind of like an SNL skit, right? You know, we have like the recurring character that comes back and forth, and that's kind of what this show is. Man. And it's just, you know, again, it's just based on schedule. I mean, really is what it boils down to. You're in Canada, I'm in Michigan. You have your own life, I have my own life, and we have all the work that goes on. Yeah. And then we try and add in this live show that you want to do, because again, I never wanted to make it live. You wanted to make it live.
I think it's awesome. So I love it.
It's great. It's fine. And we can talk about things, but I'd much rather on a Friday at 3:50 p.m. be watching the NCAA tournament that's going on right now.
Well, you can turn it on the side.
Oh, it's on. Oh, yeah. I just watched Texas Tech beat Utah State. So, okay, yeah, it's on in the side. Right. I can multitask. You, on the other hand, that's a challenge. I mean, that's like looking at a squirrel as you're going down the front straightaway.
Easy now. That's horrible. This was my idea. I like it. The thing about because I wanted to get this on YouTube, and we either go live and we do it for an hour to 90 minutes, or you're doing all the post production anyways. I'm thinking about you here, David.
Yes. Yeah. I concur that, yes, it's easier to do this live on YouTube. Yes, it's very much so. But I'm just more of a podcast guy. I like to sit in my pajamas. Yeah, my pajamas and just chit chat. I mean, actually, you know, did an interview with Greg Welch of Four Direction Motorsports and at the USPKS Ocala to do an upcoming article that we're doing. And I kind of felt a little more comfortable just sitting there talking and not having to, you know, look at the camera and do all the production stuff. But it's the progression of what our website has definitely grown to over the last 16, 17 years.
Let's grab the shout out from Austin Jurors Racing. Big hello, Austin Jurors Racing.
Yeah, he finally got the bad luck off of his back and got on the podium at the USPKS. Yeah. So. Good weekend for him in Ocala. I'm sure he'll be among the front runners when we get to Newcastle next month.
As you know, folks, this show, This Week in Karting, not only will it be here on YouTube, we'll take the audio, we'll turn it into a podcast. It'll be on the ECAN Radio Network and on all the podcast platforms where we stream the podcast and where you can subscribe and download podcasts. So you may hear some kind of podcast feel when I cut to commercials, that kind of thing. Just better for David for later on when he's doing editing. David, let's jump into this thing right now because one of the big pieces of news that actually hit, and we didn't know it was coming, Superkarts USA announcing incentives for the Pro Tour for their 175 and Pro and Master shifter categories. David, this is big. So here it is, folks. If you don't own an IAME SSE 175 right now, and you commit to the entire Pro Tour and the Supernats in Masters or Pro shifter, they'll waive the entire price for a new engine package, brand new engine package, as long as you sign up. If you already own an SS 175, a shifter, the IAME shifter, and you can commit to the entire Pro Tour and Supernats, your entry fees are waived for the whole program. David, that's a pretty big deal to get guys going racing here in the shifter program with Superkarts USA.
It is. That's, again, the focus is helping to grow back the shifter categories within the program because as we've seen at the Winter Series, there weren't a lot of numbers there. So this is one way of doing that. And they've been pushing out a bunch of video on social media talking about all the different drivers that are going to be there. I think the addition to it is what they're going to do purse-wise because this is something new. Not never really something new, but it's good to see that they're going to do $4,000 per round for a purse for both Pro shifter and Master shifter. That's the new part. It's the Master shifter that we had not seen a purse be done for or be used in this category. So $2,500 to win just on one day. Yeah. So if you win both days, that's a $5,000 weekend for you in either of those categories.
Yeah, and it ends up being what, $2,500 for first, $2,000 for second, $1,000 for second, $500 for third, $48,000 cash purse for the Pro and Master shifter classes. If that incentive is what is needed, they've definitely dropped the hammer. And then if you don't have an engine, all you got to do is sign up for all the races. You get an engine. If you have an engine, all the races, no charge. So all told, that's a pretty awesome deal.
Yeah, there's teams and engine builders that have the engines, and that's the direction you can go with if you don't have one, because you can go that way, or if you do own one, you get to race for free. I mean, it's either way, it's a good promotion to get people on board and racing at the program. So but again, KZ is still part of both categories. So we'll see the drivers. Obviously, I think those who've already committed, a good handful are going to be on KZ engines too. So we'll still see a good mix of that when you get down to Noller Motorsports next weekend.
Now look forward to that. Cool thing here is we're obviously talking about the Pro Tour and the Super Nationals. Nice to be able to talk about the Super Nationals again. We look forward to hearing more information, what's going to happen potentially for the Super Nationals here in 2021. That spins to the next piece of information on this edition of This Week in Karting, David. Rotax actually setting the Grand Finals location for 2021 in Bahrain. Disappointment, obviously, for this year's event in January getting canceled. Now we're looking at Bahrain, the Bahrain International Karting Circuit. David, what is the actual, do we have the actual date for that event?
Yeah, December 3rd through the 11th, 2021.
Nice.
That'll be when the event heads to Bahrain. Again, last year it was scheduled for, where was it? Brazil? No, not Brazil. That was the World Championships.
Portugal.
I think it was Portugal. That's where I think they moved it.
They moved it too. That's right.
Yeah, because I think it was in Bahrain for last year.
Or was it Brazil and they moved it to Bahrain?
No, Brazil was 2018. That was the World Championship. We're getting confused. So I think it was originally scheduled for Bahrain for 2020. And then with all the COVID situations, they moved it to Portugal because it was going to be closer and centrally located for the factories. So it wasn't such a longer cost for logistics and everything like that. And then, of course, it got moved to January, and then January, obviously, the COVID restrictions kind of tightened up for Portugal, like we're seeing in Italy right now a little bit, where they had to cancel the event. So Bahrain, that'll be the first time that the event has ever been there. It's been to the Middle East a few times, but this will be the first one in Bahrain. So USA drivers, get your passports ready.
That's it, right? December 3rd to the 11th, as David said. And of course, there will be lots of Rotax racing throughout the season here where you're able to get yourself qualified and get a ticket to be part of Team USA or Team Canada. All right, folks, thanks for joining us here on this edition of This Week in Karting. First break in the action. Stay with us. We'll have more to come. Lots more to talk about here. And as we get ready to kick it, big thank you to two of our partners for this edition here on YouTube. Thank you to Briggs & Stratton and Leading Edge Motorsports, two very important partners at ekartingnews.com. So shout out to them. Let's get back into it, folks. So as we jump back into this edition of This Week in Karting, Rob Howden alongside David Cole. Is that okay?
Get just a little bit of longer pause next time. That's all. Yeah.
The producer. So you should be in my ear.
I did. I was just going to type that out, but I was trying to do a subtle signal to you.
All right.
All right.
Will you give me one of these?
I did. Stretch it out. Stretch it out.
All right. Next time. Let's start with this Texas Sprint Racing Series, David. They're actually on track right now. They're practicing as we speak down at NOLA Motorsports for their first round, which will be called the Winter Warm-Up. And David, essentially the event happening the week before the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals, and a ton of drivers. I want to say over 170 pre-entries when they came into the program. But yeah, the Texas Sprint Racing Series kicking off their 2021 season. This program began back in 2015, sanctioned by both SuperKarts USA and the International Kart Federation. David, they've lined up $50,000 prize package over the 13 categories, and we actually have the full schedule of the events they're going to this year.
Yeah, if you look there, as you already mentioned, NOLA Motorsports Park up there on the upper left, where everybody is at this weekend. Today, everybody's getting into practice for today. So that is the winter warm-up. The next event will take them down over to North Texas Karters facility. That's the one on the middle left there. For the spring roundup on April 16th through the 18th in Denton, Texas. And then go down to the Speed Sports Racing Park on June 11th through the 13th. That'll be the summer shootout. Maybe possibly some night racing. You never know with Texas being in the summertime.
Yeah.
And then July 23rd to the 25th, up there on the upper right, you'll see the new Kart Moto facility at the Motorsports Ranch facility in Crescent, Texas. That'll be the midsummer mashup on July 23rd to the 25th. And then the series finale, or the fall finale, will take everybody to the Amarillo Kart Circuit in Amarillo, Texas on September 10th through the 12th. So five solid racetracks, 5 solid weekends of racing for the Texas, or the southern part of the country. Oklahoma drivers go there. Anybody in the upper or lower Midwest has the opportunities to go down and compete. So the program is certainly gain momentum year after year.
Yeah, just a really good series. And again, Texas is one of those places where they've got some great facilities. You mentioned the tracks, new tracks, legendary tracks like Denton, new facilities, as we said, like Speed Sports Racing Park, and just it's an expansive area. The one thing about racing in Texas, it's almost like racing up in Ontario, where I'm from. You got to drive 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes to get to a racetrack, because it is quite a ways. Otherwise, a great group of teams and a great group of drivers as part of that program. David, we talked a bit about the money getting kicked up by SuperKarts USA for the Pro Tour. This particular news piece a little bit later in our This Month in Karting, because you were just at the USPKS event, but we talked about it in both the Outlap Preview podcast and the Debrief Race Report podcast, that the USPKS confirming their 2021 season prize package and their X30 senior cash purse. You were there, David. Huge money getting out there as well. Same $5,000 up for grabs in X30 Pro.
Yeah, again, this is a weekend purse program that the USPKS has. So it's based on main event points for both the X30 Pro and the X30 Junior categories. As you said, $5,000 to win. As you see in the picture here, Connor Zillage was able to score that this past weekend in Ocala. Second place was a $2,500 check that went to Aras Zumejian. And then third, $1,250 to third place, and that was Mateus Ramirez. All 3 drivers also receiving a set of MG tires to use. The junior category, $2,500 to win. Second was $1,500, and then $750 for the third position. And again, championship points and battles on the line. You have an international final tickets that are going to be held out, or given out throughout the year or at the end of the year, along with IAME engines, IAME kits, their USPKS Winner Circle program, MG tires, and a lot more products for the championship banquet or prize giving that they have at the end of the year.
Yeah, a little harder to win prizes when there's 293 entries. What an unbelievable entry total to start off the season for USPKS.
It is, yeah. It definitely, and you have LCQs for the first time, so even getting into the main event is a challenge, as you see with our YouTube video that we just posted today. Austin Osborne was able to give us a little glimpse into the KA100 Senior LCQ. He was able to go from 25th up to 4th.
I haven't seen that yet. I want to see it.
15 laps. So I had to talk to him after he recorded it because he had it in the square format. I'm like, bro, come on. Nobody can put that up on their TV. It's not Tube TV anymore. So he has no idea what he's doing with the GoPro. So I got him set up for any future videos that he might do or provide for us.
Good man. But yeah, bottom line is just a fantastic prize package for the USPKS. And obviously the racers and the teams are then coming in droves, right? They see it. They want to come and win that money, which is great. All right. So another break of the action, folks, here on both our YouTube channel and on this podcast. Stay with us. More to come. Again, take the opportunity now here to thank two more of our partners on ekartingnews.com, the Trinity Karting Group and Cometic Gaskets, two of our partners that have, make eKarting News what it is. Without these guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And so a big thank you to both Trinity and Cometic. We'll head back now to the show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to This Week in Karting here on YouTube and on our EKN podcast program as well on the EKN radio network. Rob Howden and David Cole. How was that, David? Better?
Yeah.
That was good? That was good?
Yeah. Remember,
good
I can see you when you stop talking. So
good transition. Just want to make sure
it was better. Yeah. Working on it. It's kind of like going from the oval to the road course, like something we're going to talk about in a little bit.
There it is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Here's something that's really cool.
Segue.
That was good, David. I was impressed with that. Big race coming up, of course, at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the WK Charlotte Karting Challenge in the middle of April. We're going to be there. Meaning David's going to be there, but the WK Vega Road Racing Series announces their track at Charlotte Karting Challenge. David, bring that one up because it's a pretty good looking racetrack here for this particular. This is the layout that the WK has laid out for this one here. A little bit of chatter though, David. As soon as it went up, I know that you kind of dropped me a message and said, "Oh, here we go, social media." People are jumping on it because some people, depending on the category, love this layout on the Roval at Charlotte. Some were hoping for maybe a little more technicality.
Well, we'll leave this up there so we can kind of explain what the situation is. Now, 2 years ago when we first went there, the Manufacturers Cup Series was actually there, and they were using the sections that include turns 3, 4. There's a straight line between 2 and 7, 8, or 5 and 6, and then the little horseshoe little section in there that's not highlighted in yellow. That was all the sprint tracks. So that was where they did. And then the road racing guys used that little section that's inside of turn 1 there. And they had like what was considered maybe like a street race 180-degree corner, which is not something you typically see road racing. So
really easy to lay down enduro.
Not at all. Not even in the sprint enduros. Those guys were even struggling getting bicycles and everything like that. So, thankfully, the facility repaved the sprint track that's in between the NASCARs 3 and 4. So Manufacturers Cup has moved over to that sprint track area and last year, and will obviously be there again this year. And so last year they used pretty much all of the racing surface you could possibly use for the Roval, which included that intersection between 4 and 5, and then that section between 7 and 8.
Oh, they used both of those sections last year.
They used both of those sections last year. So that was kind of, the talk and why are we not using that?
Yeah.
Well, the section between 7 and 8 is where it's really challenging, because when you get through that section, you come back onto the oval at turn 8. It's a very slow corner. Not as slow as what it was in 2019, but very slow. So it's a little, some of the faster categories don't like that, where, say a CIK 206, that's going 60 miles an hour. It's a good corner for them.
Yeah.
So they eliminated both of those gray sections that you see there. And so now what you're getting is what is essentially the NASCAR Roval without the backstretch chicane. So that's what you're getting this year. Now it's something brand new, something new, which is, again, something you want to see. You want to see a little bit of change up here and there to kind of keep things spicy.
Yeah, I like
keep
it.
things, keep drivers on the up and up. And so they'll do the NASCAR track layout, which will obviously be probably more, one of the quicker layouts that they'll be on all year. But again, you still have some elevation, because if you've been there between the turns 5, 6, 7 and going over to 8, there's a little bit of elevation there. And so it's not flat. It's not like what we get at, say, Gateway or other Rovals that possibly been to, say, Daytona.
Yeah.
Daytona has no elevation whatsoever.
Not at all. Yeah.
So this, aside from the banking, so this will be, again, the NASCAR layout. So they'll try this out, and then, maybe take some feedback and see, maybe if they can add that section between turns 4 and 5. That might be the ultimate solution, because that again has a little bit of elevation and gives you a little bit of a technical section to go through, rather than just the chicane you have on the front stretch.
I know that when we did the show, the face-to-face show with Mike Tetro and Kevin Williams from WK, that was kind of something that I think Kevin might have dropped. Hey, maybe we look at having an extra part for the 206 classes or whatever it may be, adding that, that more technical part in, whether it's between 4 and 5 or between 7 and 8. It's a possibility of always having a couple different layouts for the different series as well. Yeah,
it's a little bit tougher to do in the weekend, because you have obviously they're split up into race groups.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, there are some slower race groups, but there are also some race groups that have really fast and really slow karts. So it's very tough to do, I think, in weekend. So again, I think this is something they'll get through this event, use the NASCAR layout, and see, reevaluate it again for 2022.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna stay with the Charlotte Karting Challenge for this particular section of this edition of This Week in Karting, because David, we're going to transition a little bit over to the Manufacturers Cup. Before we do that, let's drop this, because I didn't bring this up yet. I don't know if you did either. I don't think you did when I was kind of tuning in there. We're actually going to be there. I said you're going to be there covering it. This is not what we normally do. Normally, when we do an EKN Trackside Live program, our Cooper Tires program, we're covering a sprint race. This is different, because we're having some conversations how you're going to do it. You'll be at Charlotte, but your focus is going to be on road racing. You're there to cover the Vega Road Racing National Series, which I think is something we've never done. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, we never really had focused on the entire event. Back in the early days, I did some regional reporting with the ski for F125 laydown program. So that actually visited some of the WK National Road Racing Series programs, or events. So yeah, this one, especially Saturday and Sunday, that'll be our focus on promoting the events. Obviously, Friday practice, just like on a sprint track, it's a little bit boring, not much to cover. So maybe we'll bounce over to the sprint track, do a couple of videos over there, but we'll do some interviews and photos and stuff like that through the paddock in the road racing program on Friday as well too.
I'm hearing potential rumors that you might be bringing your helmet and suit with you to Charlotte.
Well, with all the audio stuff not going, I have that extra baggage, free baggage. So there is going to be a bag that includes a suit, helmet, shoes. The only thing I need maybe is a rib vest, because I haven't, depending on what I race. But we're going to see what can happen. We've already gotten one offer on the road racing side of things, so we'll see other things. We haven't confirmed anything yet.
There's one thing you mentioned you didn't put in your bag, and that was talent. So you may want to give a call to our buddy there down in Holland, Michigan, Mark Miller, to see if he can't borrow a little bit of his road racing talent for you, because that's something you don't ever bring in your bag with you.
Wow. Anytime you want to go road racing, that's something we haven't done. Dude,
I've road raced one time.
So,
loved it, but
I have plenty of experience, plenty of success road racing compared to you.
You would kick my ass. You would.
I mean, anybody can do it. Anybody can kick your ass.
Here's the difference.
Anybody can road race.
Here's the difference. I would race a laydown, and you would.
Good point. If I got into a certain point where there was enough peer pressure, maybe, but I don't know. It's a little. I know. It's still just not my thing.
All right, so so that's what's happening, folks. EKN is going to be doing some deep dive coverage into road racing, which I know David's super excited about. He knows a lot of people there. Of course, I know a lot of those guys over there as well, and it's a cool community that we really haven't got a chance to focus on, and that's what's happening for this year's coverage. which I'm excited to see what you do, David. I look forward to following it. I think I may have that weekend off, actually. I think it's the same weekend as Barber Motorsports Park, isn't it? The opening round of the IndyCar series on the road to Indy.
Is it Barber or is it the weekend after Barber?
No, I think it's that weekend because the weekend after Barber is St. Petersburg. I think I'll be in Alabama that weekend. Another great road course track. We'll talk about the Manufacturers Cup component then of the Charlotte karting program, because a bunch of updates, David. Not only the track, which God, look how gorgeous that looks. David, wasn't it like just a couple of years ago that we were lamenting the fact that there was this great track in Charlotte? If somebody would just step up and invest some money in it, and look at that thing now. God, it gives me goosebumps.
It was 2019 when I was there for the WK race that was happening on the Roval part of it. Yes. So I did a video walking the track, kind of showing the conditions of everything and where everything went, because they had, if you look there in turns 1 and 2 there by that big circle by the roundabout, that was a sinkhole. That's the reason why we lost the sprint track. It became a sinkhole. They had to obviously just repave that whole area where you see a lot of that pavement. It was all redone. So essentially the racetrack was gone. I mean, the layout was still there, but certain portions of the track was actually just rocks for setting a pathway. Mm-hmm. So the grass wouldn't grow. So it's just going from April of 2020 to what it is, or to what it is now, almost just under a year is amazing.
So folks, the Manufacturers Cup component of the Charlotte Karting Challenge, April the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, Thursday optional practice, Friday day 1, Saturday day 2, Sunday day 3. Some updates, David, though. They decided to change a little bit in terms of which categories run on which days.
Yeah, a little bit of shakeup from what was done at Daytona. A very similar format, though, with the majority of the categories racing one day. There's certain categories that are going to race 2 days, or there's certain categories that are racing over 2 days, which is one final after 2 days of competition. So you look at the 206 Senior, 206 Junior, and Ignite Junior now have 2 separate days of racing that will be taking place over 3 days of racing. They have the Kid Kart Comer are on day 1, where now they have introduced a Kid Kart Briggs for day 3. So that provides kid karters with the opportunity of racing more than once on the weekend. 206 Cadet has been moved to day 2, with Mini Swift moving to day 3. So just those are some of the highlights on the movement of the race schedule. Obviously, everything is up on the worldkarting.com website, where you can find the actual daily schedules and where your categories are going to run on the 3 days of racing.
They had some cash up for grabs as well for F100 Junior and Senior, $1,000 for the winner, $250 for second, and a set of Vega tires for third. And David, the 206 Senior and 206 Juniors, initially $500 to win from the WKA, but that's been pumped up a little bit from the help of Briggs and Stratton.
Yeah, Briggs and Stratton stepped in after they announced the prize package for the weekend and decided to double it for the 206 Senior and 206 Junior categories, adding $500 to each category, making it $1,000 to win in either the 206 Senior category or 206 Junior division. So
yeah, it's just going to be a fantastic event. Again, this Charlotte Karting Challenge, kind of a throwback to the late 90s North American Karting Championships that used to be held at Charlotte Motor Speedway, with a massive road course event, the National Road Course event. Of course, the actual North American Karting Championships were on the sprint track, and that was FIA Super A, Formula A, Junior Intercontinental A, and other categories were involved. Formula Y was involved for a while. Some pretty damn big names came and ran there. Jensen Button, keep going through Alonso, Raikkonen.
I was going to say Alonso, Raikkonen. I believe Jensen Button.
Button was there. Button was there.
The Formula C World Championships were actually held there as well too. That was, I believe, in '98. Yeah. So that was the same. I think that was the same weekend that Giebler won the FA category.
Might have been,
if I recall.
Baggio. I know Baggio won the FC race.
Yeah, so you had like Michael Valiante, Alan Rudolph,
Darren
Elliott, a couple other. Curtis Cooksey was among the competitors in that from Acceleration.
Kimball Williams.
So, Kimball Williams. So a lot of history is on that sprint track. And again, when I was there now almost 2 years ago, it was like, man, why do we not have this going? Even when GoPro was built, it's like, man, we still have this racetrack over there. Why aren't, especially with the World Karting Association headquarters on the backstretch of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Like, why are we not using it? So, thankfully they're able to get the right people in the right places to make it happen. And now with the summer series program they have coming up for that racetrack, so essentially one race a month at that facility, it's going to help intensify people wanting to go and be part of that racetrack.
And the reason why I brought up the North American Karting Championships is not only was it the big track and the sprint track with the FIA races, there also was a dirt track component there as well. And then there was a dirt track component. Then they used to run the Briggs and Stratton to the front straightaway, and they just did a race similar to that earlier. A lot of great races. Essentially, everything the WKA did was at that facility. And this particular race in Charlotte this weekend in April, they'll be running on the Charlotte dirt track as well for the dirt component of the WKA program. So just all in all, a fantastic weekend. David, you're going to be down there focusing on road racing, but hopefully, as I said, get a chance to get behind the wheel. Maybe sliding over to the dirt track a little bit one night, just to have a look at that. That's
the one thing I missed out in 2019 when I was there. I wasn't able to get over to the dirt track because it was at the dirt track for the first time there. Heard rave reviews about it. And so, this time I'm definitely going to make my way there.
How's the game going, by the way?
What's that?
How's the game going?
Ohio State's losing by 3, so I'm liking it right now.
Oh, you're liking that a lot.
I'm an Oral Roberts fan right now.
Oh, can you imagine? What would
Kugler and Bailiff would have to cuddle each other?
They'd be rocking back and forth.
Yes. I can't talk. No, I can't talk because we still have to play tomorrow.
That's true. Don't start the bad mojo yet, David. Okay, another break in the action, folks. We're going to come back and talk about a couple of drivers moving to new teams. Stay with us. More to come here on This Week in Karting. And again, big thank you, as always, as we segue here to what will be our podcast cutaway. We'll run our commercials in our podcast. Parallel North America and Parallel USA coming on board with us earlier this year. Great to have them with us. And as well, Streeter Superstands, who have been with us for a long time. The good folks at Streeter, again, big supporters of everything we do at ekartingnews.com. If you're looking to get a stand, many of you already have a Streeter. Definitely one of the choices to pick. So, folks, stay with us. We'll be right back here momentarily. Welcome back to this next segment here on This Week in Karting, both on YouTube and on all of the Karting News podcast channels and the EKN radio network. David, a couple of young drivers that we've actually been watching for the last couple of years moving to new teams, and both these drivers, very talented competitors. We'll start off with the move by Paul Boccus, a junior driver we've watched over the last couple of years. He's making the move to Parallel USA, third season in the junior ranks, and he's really starting to step things up here in 2021, able to score a victory at the SKUSA Winter Series. I believe, did he get a win at the Florida Winter Tour? I want to say that he did.
Was that his debut, or was that no? That was before his debut. So his debut was at the USPKS event last weekend. So
but he did win. The win's there for Paul. But Paul, yes. He has a SKUSA Winter Series victory as well as Florida Winter Tour. I believe 2 victories there in the 100cc category, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he has victories early on already this year. Yeah.
And again, adding what he did last weekend, he's got 3 wins in 3 different programs.
Yeah, so USPKS Southern Grand Prix, David, you were down there, 8th place in the first race with the hard charger. So there's a good honor there coming from deep in the field, and then comes back on Sunday with a win. That's a pretty solid debut on the parallel material for Paul.
Yeah, 40th to 8th was the drive that he did. Obviously, as we talked about in our debrief a little bit, he came from last after a pre-final wreck, took him out along with a number of other drivers, and was able to drive his way forward with fast laps of the race to the 8th position. And then again, turn that speed over on Sunday into a victory, and a dominant victory at that, as he went wire to wire for the win.
Yeah, another young driver that we've had a chance to watch progress over the last number of years, actually moving into senior this year. And what what a rookie crop it is this year for senior drivers. Out of the gate, super strong. We saw what Connor Zilic has been doing. But the driver we're talking about right now, John Burke, moving from the Texan, moving into the PSL camp on the Barella Art machinery. As I said, David, first year in the senior category. What were your thoughts of him making that debut at the USPKS event?
Yeah, he certainly showed speed in his first weekend. I talked to him. He said, no, this is my first weekend on the chassis. So no testing prior to the weekend. Obviously, Ocala is a little bit of a different racetrack where there is only 8 corners. You got to learn it quick, though, and there's not room for any mistakes. Unfortunately, was involved in a wreck on Saturday, so it took him out of the race early. But he certainly showed speed throughout the weekend, was hovering around that top 10 position throughout much of the weekend, and was able to finally come through on Sunday to a 9th position in the main event. So a good opening weekend for him with the PSL tent. Again, he was the only senior driver under the tent. They also had Jake French there in the K100 junior or senior division. So it's kind of, those two working off of each other, different tires, obviously K is on the harder tire and the X30 Pros are on the yellow MGs. So a little different on that, but thankfully they're able, Jake has good experience with a lot of the X30 stuff. So able to bounce back some information together, and we'll see what the future holds for Burke as he's going to do, the Winter Nationals next weekend.
I was going to say the immediate future for both these drivers will be this weekend at the Florida Winter Tour finale at Ocala, and then next weekend at the Winter Nationals at NOLA. So again, 2 really strong races back to back for both these drivers.
Yeah, we'll see how it unfolds. NOLA is a little bit more of a technical racetrack, a lot more corners, so we'll be able to kind of gauge where he's gotten that quick grasp of the team and the chassis and everything that goes with it. So.
Yeah, but before we cut to our final break on this edition of This Week in Karting, a sad note here. We've lost a couple of, I want to say, I guess, our pioneer members of the sport, guys and ladies who has been with the sport forever and have been big parts of it, and putting a lot of time into it. Number one was John Motley, the SuperKarts USA National Tech Director. John passed earlier this month at the age of 81, and was a guy that I, over my 20-plus years in the U.S., I've had a chance to know from his time with his own shop, Race Card Engineering. I remember he had a couple drivers, Jason Bowles and David May, who used to race for him in the ADCC categories. He was an aero dealer for a while, was an engine builder for many years, won a lot of Grand Nationals and championships with his engines. But also then David, over the last couple of years, really has been with SuperKarts USA and the Pro Kart Challenge since Tom and Patty started PKC back in 2004. So we're talking 16 years with the organization, and he passed recently. And of course, David, you and I've had some fun joking around with John. Just a great guy to have in the paddock, of course.
Yeah, I actually shared a room with him one time. He came and I think did tech for USPKS during the early years of that. So, but yeah, every SCUSA race we went to, there was John in the tech barn. Yeah. Typically after the race weekend was over, we saw him with a glass of wine.
We talked wine a little bit.
Yeah, so he did love his wine there, living in California. So that was, it was motorsports and I think wine. That was kind of our conversations with John. But he, as you said, he was the focal point of the technical side of things regarding SuperKarts USA for a very long time. Was that person, was the authority on that. As his health got worse, obviously he had to step down and kind of step away from that role. And we've heard, a number of people went to see him in the last few months. So we wish him and his family the best, tough situation when you see somebody like that pass on. So.
Indeed. I've been in touch with John's daughter, Kelly, quite a bit. I have a memorial piece that I'm putting the final touches on that we'll have on ekartingnews.com. She sent me a bunch of pictures. This guy loved his trivia and he loved practical jokes. And every shot, he's smiling like a Cheshire cat from ear to ear. So again, we're sad to say that we've lost John Motley. And then if you look at karting on a whole, I think one of the most legendary members, and I'm talking about Ladybug, Faye Pearson, again, the groundbreaking woman in the sport of karting, of course, part of the whole Bug team and KMP. Just a tremendous family. And David, I'll tell you this, it was a joy for me a couple of years ago. I trekked up when I was in California to the Vintage Winter Nationals at Riverside, and Faye was there. I got a chance to meet her, pose for a picture. I have video of her at 90-something years of age, bolting around that racetrack in another one of the karts that she ran when she was younger. Faye passed away, but again, absolute legend in this sport. And when we talk about karting, being open to everybody, it doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. Faye was the person that was pushing that from the very get-go.
Yeah, not only in the driver's side of things, but also probably on the industry side. As you said, working with the Bug chassis program, and that's obviously where she got her nickname. Yep. Probably one of the pioneer female persons that we've had in our sport. When you look at her, Kathy Hartman, that's probably the next female after Faye. When you look at it timeline wise, so those are probably the two top female people that we have had in the sport. And as you said, that was the one place you could always see her was at the vintage race in February at Adams. That was that was it. That was like her one race a year that she would be at and go to, and as you said, even get behind the wheel and still go out and put down some laps.
And what I love, David, was like just the reverence that everybody had for her being there. You know what I mean? She was a legend, man. It's amazing. And again, our condolences to the entire family there as well. I know I was in touch with the family a little bit earlier. I plan on trying to do an article on Faye. It's something we should still do because that's a historic legend, a tale that we need to tell more about her entire involvement in the sport of karting for sure. Folks, stick with us. One more break. We'll come back. We'll fill you in a little more of what's been going on ekartingnews.com and kind of give you an update there. And again, as we segue to the final commercial break here on our YouTube version of the show, Margay Racing and Comet Kart Sales are two more of our fantastic partners. We'll have their commercials in the podcast version. But again, funny, David, we'll cut back to this. Awesome, because these are karts that you and I drive on a regular basis. We had a chance to drive the Comet Eagle at the Brickyard. I did the same thing with Margay. We both had a chance to drive both chassis. Legendary names in the sport, and we're so thankful that they are supporters of what we do here at ekartingnews.com. Stay right there. We're going to cut back to the YouTube show in a second. Welcome back to this episode of This Week In Karting here on YouTube and on the EKN Radio Network and all of our podcast channels. David, let's wrap things up as we normally do, kind of have a look through here. Oh, you got something to say?
Yeah.
Go.
We just did the commercial with Margay and Comet.
Yes.
So, we talked about it on our YouTube section and obviously the commercial played on podcasts. Funny story, the Bobby Labonte podcast that he just did with Dale Jr. talks about him karting. He used to race back in the day on a Margay, and then also he's done a Comet. He used to race against Dismore back in the day. So kind of weird that I just saw that on social media, awesome. I think this morning. And we paired those two commercials together, and he's raced both of them. So Bobby Labonte, former karter.
Yeah, I will say this. This is the cool thing. When we started Shifter Kart Illustrated back in 1998, as subscriptions came in, we would literally look at the subscriptions because, they were getting 4 or 5 a day, whatever it was. And some of them came in and people like Bobby Labonte was one of our subscribers to Shifter Kart Illustrated. And that for me was like, oh my God, that's awesome. You actually sent me a check. This is amazing. Price Cobb was another one. There was a number of guys that were subscribers. But yeah.
Ricky Rudd we had on the cover.
Yes.
On Supercard Illustrated.
With Polly Haraka.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, David, as we do in this final segment here on this particular podcast and this show, we kind of go through everything that's been going on. Kicking a lot of editorial on ekartingnews.com, beginning with a bunch of race reports. You were down at Homestead for the second round, the final rounds of the Superkarts USA Winter Series.
Yeah, I was. I got a lot of race coverage over since our last show. As I said, that's where I've technically been every other weekend. Got to go down to Homestead for the first time and take in the SCUSA Winter Series finale at the AMR Motorplex in Homestead, Florida. So it was a good race weekend that time. That mid-February weekend. 2 weeks after that, got to go to out west to Cal Speed and join the Challenge of the Americas for their second event of the 2021 season. Good weekend, no rain that weekend, no ambulances. So overall, a great weekend at Cal Speed. The weekend after that, we were able to write up a little race report on the Cup Karts North America Spring Nationals at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So all 300 entries got to take part at the Charlotte Motor Speedway kart track that we continue to talk about. And so a lot of these racers had never been there. There were some that had used to race there back in the day, such as like a Brandon Atkins or those who raced with the Man Cup or even the Gold Cup back in the days with WKA. So that was really cool to see, to kind of end February and begin the month of March.
Cool thing about the CKNA Grand Nationals or the Spring Nationals for me is, if you're an East Coast four-cycle guy and you're willing to travel a little bit, we've got these two bookend events. Start the season off in March at Charlotte, 300 plus. We'll end off the season probably 350 or more this year for the Grand Nationals. That's going to be it's a good time to be a four-cycle racer right now.
Once that border opens, there's the numbers are gonna skyrocket at the Grand National. So that should be a good weekend for sure.
So David, you rolled down to the USPKS race. We've talked about that already with a couple of the segments. You filed a report down there as you always do, but you also wrote a pretty good piece, a behind the laptop piece, regarding just what the last year has been like.
Yeah, the pandemic year. That was the title of my behind the laptop article. I kind of pinpointed it Saturday morning because that was the year anniversary of us being, or at least us, I say the Carter community in NOLA Motorsports for what was the 2020 Pro Tour Winter Nationals. And that's when the pandemic kind of hit us. It became a reality. It became something that we thought was going to be over in a couple of weeks and ended up continuing for a full year. But just to kind of, because obviously during this whole year, we've kind of looked at the negativity of the pandemic, and mine was kind of more of a positive look in how our sport over that last year really came together. There wasn't 100%. That negativity that you see on social media or what used to be on our forums back in the old days. It was everybody just wanting to get out and go race or just be at the racetrack or just be part of the sport, because it's kind of been the year of what is going to happen. That unknowing feeling. And so I think that really helped our sport because people just went to a race. Like, we got to go, let's go and let's go race. And
let's go experience again. Yeah.
And it's continued and it's kind of helped, the industry out because people are buying carts, people are buying engines, people are getting supplies and going to the races and spending money, going to the races on things they need. And it's just been, I think, really a positive thing for our sport. And my hope is that momentum carries over into the 2021 season. I think we're already seeing that with the record numbers that we're showing. Like we said, Cup Karts North America Spring Nationals had amazing turnout. USPKS has had amazing turnout. Winter Series, aside from the shifter categories, have had big turnouts. Challenge America's record turnouts. So it's a positive time for our sport, and we just need to continue that. We don't need to be negative and nitpick about a lot of different things. Just continue the positivity.
Keep remembering the fact that we are lucky to be able to race and we're not locked at home in our houses. Like when we're able to get outside and breathe fresh air and smell that Motul in the morning.
And that's it, because you look at all the high school sports that have been battling, day after day, especially right now, going to March Madness for high school basketball. There are schools that are having to cancel their tournament, their team's tournament because of a COVID situation, whether it be somebody has COVID or the whole quarantine about a close contact. So it's just, at least with you're right. Our sport, we can get outside and be able to do it. And I think that's helping people realize, racing's fun. Let's go do this.
That's it. All right, so Dave, let's have a look at our podcast review for what we've had over the last couple of weeks. As everyone knows, any kind of content we have, whether it's our initial shows on the ECAN Radio Network or here again on our YouTube channel, we turn the YouTube shows into podcasts as well. So if you're a podcast person and you like to maybe listen to us on your drive home from work or to work in the morning, whatever it may be, or you're wrenching on the go-kart out in the shop and you want to listen to a podcast while you're doing it, everything we do content-wise gets turned into a podcast. David, you've got 8 of them here to essentially go through podcasts that are now available.
Yeah, it's been a busy 6 weeks since our last This Week in Karting, which is on February 10th. So that's available for download along with our debrief from the SCUSA Winter Series event. You did a couple face-to-face. You did a SCUSA Winter Series Champions one. I believe we were both on it. Maybe I think we were both on it.
I think we're on that one. Yeah.
That was when we welcomed Ryan Norberg and Chase Han from Rollison Performance Group. They joined us to kind of talk about the championships that they earned there. Our other face-to-face that was recent was the Sean Bailiff interview that you did with the Trinity Karting Group owner. So was able to kind of get a lowdown on his program for the 2021 season, along with what's happening at Motorsports Country Club in Cincinnati and their Pro-Am Karting Championship program.
Yeah, lots going on there.
Races there. Lots going on there.
Fun.
Of course, our outlap and debrief from Challenging Americas at Cal Speed. Now available is our outlap from the USPKS Southern Grand Prix at Ocala. And then as you did, I believe on the Thursday, March 11th, you did a face-to-face with Kevin Williams and Mike Tetro of WK.
Yeah, we're cranking out lots. I want to say when it's all said and done this quarter, we're going to get about 22 shows out, I think, when we're all said and done. So a lot of content coming out on eKarting News. Coming up, though, David, on the eCan Radio Network, your wheel and deal and stuff on eCan. We've been using the radio network to get a lot of the shows and a lot of our live shows again as well. But we're also putting the live shows, we'll talk about this afterwards, putting our live the main events of all of our eCan Trackside Live events onto YouTube as well. So they're accessible on YouTube whenever you want them. But fill us in right now. What's going on the eCan Radio Network?
We had our debrief play on Wednesday and Thursday. We taped it on Tuesday, so that played on the radio. That'll be available for podcast on Monday. We'll make it a Monday now since we're taping this right now, and I got to get to my NCAA party later.
It's only 4:38 right now. You're good.
Everything started at noon. You're lucky I'm even in the office because I thought about taking a half day, but my brother had to work. So.
You didn't.
So that'll be available. That played today. Playing right now is our live coverage from the United States Pro Kart Series at Ocala with Tim Coyne on the mic. So you get all the Saturday main events and all the Sunday main events. That's playing now and all weekend long. So that's available on the radio network. And then we'll make this show available on Monday. So again, if you like to do audio stuff, the eCan Radio Network is what you should download. It plays 24/7 and all karting related content.
That's it. And again, as I said, something new that David's been working on is taking our main events from our eCan Trackside Live presented by Cooper Tires events, taking those events, putting them in an audio format, and then having them available on our YouTube channel as well. We'll push out something on the email blast, the eCan Nation email blast about it, but you can look and search for it on our YouTube channel as well. If you're looking for the main events of races, maybe you want to listen to a particular race, whatever it may be, you can go through there and actually work your way through, which is great. David, let's talk about what's coming up. Let's cap off this show right now. What's coming up on ekartingnews.com. We've got a couple of live events coming. Trackside Live. Trackside, not Trackside Live. March 26th, 27th, 28th. They did it to us again. Two races, two major events on the same weekend. One East Coast, one West Coast. You're going to be there for the finale of the Challenge of the Americas out in Sonoma with Andy Saisman and the crew. I'll be trackside at the SuperKarts USA Winter Nationals at NOLA Motorsports. Essentially, two live streams, full live coverage events. You and I, we like it when we're together. We can work together, but you and I are both going to be busting our tails on either side of the country.
Well, yeah, that's all I've been doing for the last 2.5 months. You know, since you're up in Canada there, So. Yeah, you have to suffer because you got to go down to NOLA all by yourself and kind of do what you did at the opening round for the SCUSA Winter Series. So I'll be doing what I normally do when I head out to Sonoma for the Challenge of the Americas weekend. Get to enjoy wine country, as Tim Chappie would call it. Yeah. And get to see the series end, decide the different championships in the 10 categories that are there. While you get to see things get started in what will be the 12th season of the Pro Tour.
I guess 2010 was the first one, right? Yeah. So 12th season of the Pro Tour. I can't believe it's been that long. It's going to be a good deal, though. I think it's going to be fun. It sounds like there's enough excitement in shifter karting that we could have a strong shifter kart program.
This is my second event I missed in the 12 years because I missed Shawano when they had the Summer Nationals up there.
Yeah.
I was at the Rotax Grand Nationals at Newcastle.
Yep.
So this will be number 2 that I will miss.
Well, and the crazy thing about the COVID deal, I now have not really missed an event.
Yeah, you haven't.
I was going to miss that one. So I've never missed a Supercarts USA Pro Tour full event. It didn't happen, of course, Noah, last year. So my streak still goes. I'll be there for that event. So
it helps to be the announcer, right?
It does. It does. But we talked about you trackside. You're going to be trackside on April 15th and the 18th at Charlotte Motor Speedway for that WK event. Our focus on the road racing program. David, hopefully, going to try to potentially get behind the wheel in a couple of different categories. We'll see how that plays out. Otherwise, David, away we go. Lots more stuff coming. But this particular week coming up, it's going to be all about the weekend events. I'm sure that there's news coming. It'll be on the website. It'll be on another edition of This Week in Karting. But you and I really, come Monday morning when we cap off this weekend, we are focused down because we have to do 2 outlap shows, prep previews for the weekend events. You and I both in the air on Thursday.
Yeah, in the air on Thursday. Come home on Monday. Well, I'll come home on Monday. You'll go to your USA home on Monday, and we'll hammer out a couple of debriefs. So we'll get the lowdown and breakdown of both events, and then I'll be gone. You won't be able to reach me for about 10 days.
What's a vacation?
It is a vacation. So a well-deserved vacation.
Well-deserved, sir. Yeah.
It's been a long year. You know, you kind of relax a little bit when you get to play golf out there in California.
I think I played golf like 3 times last year total, maybe 4.
It's more than what I probably. Well, actually, I did play more because of COVID. But
there you go. There you go.
But yeah, so probably when we get back, we'll probably be able to do a This Week in Karting. When I get back from that, we'll be able to do a This Week in Karting. Unless you do one on your own, that's up to you. Because again, that week is all on you. It's all on you. Now I'll have the content ready to go on the website, but anything that we do social wise or video wise or anything like that, it's going to be all you, big man.
It's going to be all me. It's going to be. Yeah, it's not like I'm busy during that month with Road to Indy spring training, Road to Indy IndyCar at Barber, Road to Indy IndyCar at St. Petersburg. No, I'm good, Dave. I got this.
I must have had the Barber weekend down wrong. So it's the 16th through the 18th.
They moved it back. Yeah, it was going to be the second weekend. They moved it to the third weekend, so it's back to back now with St.
Makes sense now. See, I
thought
I
got 2 weekends off.
So okay, you do have 2 weekends off somewhat.
I get 2 weekends off, and then in May, then I have 4 in a row. I've got IndyCar road course in Indianapolis, SCUSA. Then we go to SCUSA Spring Nationals, dude. We go to Utah. After that,
right? Utah in between your GP and 500,
and 500, and then Detroit. I think then the weekend after that is Quincy.
Yes, Quincy or the Kalo Nationals. Both of those on the same weekend. So
and
you can either go to Ohio or you can go to Quincy. So
I may need to take the weekend off. Otherwise, that'd be 7 weekends in a row. I might die. Well, folks, that wraps things up. It's Friday. It's 4:44. I've kept David well past his. I got to get out of here because it's March Madness time.
5 minutes left on the clock.
We've all been. I could hang out here for 12 more minutes if you want.
It's tie game. Ohio State finally came back. So it's tight game. So the next 5 minutes are going to be tight.
We're going to let David go, folks, because he's losing his mind right now. He's got to watch his games. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Those of you tuned in live, we'll of course share this out so people can watch it at any time. The beauty of YouTube. You can always come back and watch the shows later. Do us a favor. Share it out to everybody so they know how to tune in here. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. Another This Week in Karting brought to you by A-Maxx Racing. Shout out to them. Thank you so much, folks. We're going to wrap things up. On behalf of David Cole, I'm Rob Howden. Book it.